As superintendent of Loudoun County Public Schools, which is about 25 miles from where we sit right now, I fully support initiatives to keep our students moving and to improve learning. Last spring, our school division actively pursued, and I'm thankful, was awarded a PE program, or PEP grant, through the U.S. Department of Education that promotes increased physical activity for students. This funding has allowed us to increase teacher effectiveness through training that focuses on the delivery of health content while the students are engaged in more physical activity. We call this intentional fitness because we don't believe fitness happens accidentally. We've also been able to purchase lifetime fitness equipment with the goal of increasing daily physical activity for our students. Some of the ways that Loudoun County Public Schools promotes physical activity into the school day are requiring daily recess for all elementary students. That's not a nice to have, it's not a maybe we'll have, it is a requirement. Daily recess for all elementary age children. Offering a before and after school program that is nutrition and activity based for elementary students. We know that it does make a difference what the after school snack is. And when we're the ones serving it, we want to be sure that it is healthy. Physical activity breaks in the classroom. I remember early in my career, and I started teaching 44 years ago, I did a summer. I'm a high school teacher, okay? I'm an English teacher, high school English teacher, former principal. But I did a summer teaching elementary school. And I had, I think it was 32 4th through 7th grade boys in an unair-conditioned 100-year-old school. And my mission was to remediate all of their reading and mathematics problems. Now you can just imagine how enthused they were to come to Mr. Hatrick's classroom 4 days a week, we gave him Fridays off, to swelter in the heat and to work on 2 subjects that they probably didn't like a lot to begin with. And it didn't take me long to realize that although I had no problem working with high school age seniors, 4th through 7th grade elementary boys represented a completely different challenge. And it also didn't take me long to realize that if those 4th through 7th grade boys didn't get some physical activity about every hour, we didn't accomplish a whole lot. And so I built that into the program. I had no idea why I built it into the program. I believe it was called survival. Not theirs, mine. We also require activity logs for students that measure the amount of time they are active, because we find that recording physical activity can be very powerful for students regarding how much or how little they are moving. They're not unlike us. I think I exercise every day. I know I intend to exercise every day, and I confuse my intention with my accomplishment. Kids are the same way. We also keep fitness portfolios for all secondary students. We've also implemented a Let's Move at Lunch program. This is an elementary walking program offered daily after students have eaten, we hope, their fruits and veggies. And this was inspired by Mrs. Obama's recent remarks. We provide access to functional fitness equipment that promotes core strength. We use exercise technologies such as heart rate watches, pulse sticks, pedometers, and web-based software that tracks student fitness data. We use lifetime fitness equipment such as stretch bands, stability balls, and dumbbells. We implement recess breaks at some of our secondary schools. recess breaks at some of our elementary schools. Because what we found is that just because you move from elementary to middle school, your need for physical activity didn't suddenly cease. Remember, the group I worked with were 4th through 7th grade. 2 of those grades are in middle school. We incorporate non-traditional equipment to reach the students who traditionally haven't enjoyed physical activity. This is equipment such as GeoFitness and Wii component systems. We in Loudoun County Public Schools firmly believe that our efforts to increase physical activity are making a difference in the quality of life for our students. As I stated at the onset, young people who are physically active learn better. And I can't think of a better way to support Let's Move in schools than by promoting daily physical activity for all students. And now the third hat, if you will, that of a grandparent. I was thinking coming in here that it's now 60 years ago that I was getting ready to start kindergarten in New York City. And it strikes me that I walked a long way to get to school. A long way to get to school in the city. What happens now? For the most part, we provide portal-to-portal transportation for children. We interrupt one of the natural ways to have physical activity, and that is walking. I also thought about the other changes in our environment. You know, when I was getting ready to enter kindergarten, there might have been one high-end department store in Manhattan, or maybe more, but I didn't live in high-end Manhattan, that had air conditioning. The rest of the world was un-air conditioned. Windows were open. We breathed the air, whether it was healthful or not, we breathed it. And we did things to try to cool ourselves off, like just fanning ourselves. You know, that's a physical activity. Now we depend upon climate control. We are in many ways hermetically sealed from all that surrounds us in our environment. And I really thought about the fact, because I cheated, and I watched some of you cheat too. I took this out because it just kept buzzing and buzzing and buzzing, and I thought, you know, I got a school board that I answer to, and we just did budget last night until after midnight. And I was thinking, what has happened? And you know, what it put me in mind of is that where we are probably more physically fit than any generation ever before us is right here. You know, it's amazing. And when we look at kids, obviously their thumb dexterity puts ours to shame, because nobody in this room is young enough to compete with the current 5-year-old who can manipulate with their thumbs amazingly. That changing environment demands that we as parents and grandparents and educators and professional associations and governmental agencies make our approach to physical activity purposeful. We can't leave it to chance. Because if we do, today's children will not get to stand up when they're 65 years old and reminisce about what it was like to be in kindergarten. They won't be thinking about having another 4, 5, or 6, or 8 years. Gene and I were just talking about a 2020 club, because we're former colleague superintendents. You know, none of us know now when we're going to retire, unless we're forced. In the case of superintendents, that's by school boards. For all of us, it's by disability or death. That isn't what we want for our children. So I think the NASPE call, the government call, the First Lady's call for physical activity, for health education, for physical education, to be at the heart of our curriculum makes wonderful sense. You cannot have a strong mind, a well-exercised mind, without having a well-exercised body. Both are the responsibility of our schools and our communities, our parents and our grandparents. Thank you very much.